What's up, guys? Light the Shadow Reaper here. Um, I'm just going through another episode of Party Hard. I've decided to turn this into a let's play, but I figured I might as well just ask answer a couple questions that I've had hap- I've had asked of me since since making my YouTube channel and my Smack Jeeves account, because I'm on Smack Jeeves as a regular webcomic enthusiast, I guess you can call it. Basically, uh, the biggest question I've always had was, ever since making my accounts, what is the name about? Well, because my Smack account is Light and Shadow. This one is Light the Shadow Reaper. You notice a bit of a trend there. Well, it came from something I created a long time ago, back in junior year of high school, and pretty much, um, it's sort of came out of Sonic the Hedgehog, surprisingly enough. But I didn't want to just do the same thing that everyone else did when it came to creating something out of that. I wanted to do something a bit more interesting. So I made my own character, just out of the sake of inserting my own personality into the show. But I didn't like how things were going. I wanted to add a little bit extra to it. So I decided to throw in an evil version of himself named Shadow. I kind of liked it, so I added a bit more. Some old friends of his, some family, basically creating an entire culture around this one person. That's how Light and Shadow came about. The interesting thing is how the character is now. Because initially, he was pretty much just a clone of Sonic. Not fun. As it turns out, after a while, I got bored of that idea. Go figure. So, I created my own backstory for him, which would explain the evil persona. And pretty much, it goes like this. By the way, this requires a lot of lore about the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise, because I noticed that they have a lot of the exact same thing. A dark, evil character with indiscernible background or origin who just wants to spread chaos. I'm not talking about chaos because he actually had a reason why he was evil. I'm talking more of like Black Doom from Shadow the Hedgehog, the Time Eater from Sonic Generations, which is when I came up with this whole thing. You had Dark Gaia from Sonic Unleashed. I know nobody likes to talk about it, but you have Solaris from 06. Just a lot of weird coincidences of dark guys who seem to have the exact same motif and who appear to all want the exact same thing. So if you don't mind, I'd like to read you a bit of, well, basically, how this stuff happened, and my controller stopped working. Great. Oh, I just had to click in the window again. Anyway, so if anyone's asking what the origins of Light the Shadow Reaper are, here's your answer. I will explain everything, every single game, or at least I'll explain a small bit of every single game, just so that you guys can get an understanding of the plot. It's not too bad. I'm just going to give you his backstory. Thousands of years before the Echidna tribe from Sonic Adventure, there lived another group on Angel Island, and an outlying area, which would be the underwater ruins that you'd find in that game. Basically, these people were a tribe literally born out of the powers of chaos. They came out of the emeralds. And what they would do is that they would all have unique powers. For instance, Light has chaos energy manipulation. His sister can control water, sort of things. So, pretty much, it was an average day. Light decided to meet up with his friends and siblings on Angel Island. They had fun. They played around for a bit. And then they noticed a gathering in the square, just off Angel Island. And on this gathering came a genie from the book 1001 Arabian Nights. This came from Sonic and the Secret Rings, which featured an evil djinn, once again of questionable origin, known as the Eraser Djinn. He wanted to destroy the entire book, get rid of all the words, and then which would then free himself to the real world. Probably so he can exact more destruction, which is what I was hoping for. As such, Shara, the genie, the good genie, came to the Chaosborn for help. Nobody would do it because they all had a premonition of something wrong happening soon, except for Light, who finally agreed. Light, of course, being a Chaos Warrior, in other words, a soldier in training, who can use the powers of chaos. He decided, I'll go ahead. I'll fight it. So, she gives him a magic ring that will transport him to the book. And as soon as he puts it on his finger, he's in the book. He completes pretty much the exact events of Sonic and the Secret Rings. But just as he's trying to find his way home, someone else calls him. It's the events of Sonic and the Black Knight, where he goes through the Arthurian legends to fight King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table with the help of Merlin's granddaughter, Merlina. And that's pretty much the story of that. So, yeah. So, basically, pretty much the exact events of that game are also laid out right there. I just call them zombies. um, it's pretty much the exact thing. The only real difference is that every time Light would fight one of the knights, they would have their own unique skill that he would pretty much learn while fighting them. For instance, Sir Lancelot in that game was able to use his own form of chaos, which he considered magic. That's pretty much what I was going for. Other things such as guarding and everything, he would also start using chaos. Basically, he would get better at his own powers as he was going along. And after the events of that, he finally returns home to find the place in flames. The black arms from the game Shadow the Hedgehog are swarming the place, stealing and killing anyone that they find. Not good. So, Light basically finds himself in despair. Black Doom, through that little eye thing he has in the games, tells him that he killed everyone else, and now then he's gonna go after him. Out of despair and anger and shock and fear and all that stuff, Light develops an immense hatred towards him, which actually forms itself as Shadow, a literal manifestation of the darkness inside his heart. Or as Shadow likes to call it, just evil him. I got stuck there. Fearing this power, after pretty much obliterating everyone in sight, Light goes up to the Altar of the Emeralds, which have been untouched because of their own chaos energy, and he seals himself away inside of a crystal prison at the base of the altar. That way nobody else will ever bother him, and Shadow will never come out again. Once again, fast forward to the events of Sonic and Knuckles 3. Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Where Knuckles thinks that Sonic is trying to steal the Chaos Emeralds and the Master Emerald. In doing so, he draws Light's sword, Excalibur, which he kept from his adventures, and accidentally, in the melee that came about, almost decapitated Light. Just buried the sword in the crystal around the neck. This breaks Light out of prison, and pretty much that's where the story starts. So what do you guys think? Obviously, over time, like, he gets better at his stuff. He no longer just puts up a confident air just because that was a mask to distract people from the fact that he didn't want them to know that he had an evil being inside his mind, pretty much. And aside from that, like, he does get used to his powers. He gets used to having a shadow in his head. They find out that there's something even worse out there. And eventually they decide to work together because they're sharing the same body. They have to. If one of them dies, the other one dies as well. Needless to say, Shadow still wanted to destroy Light's mind from the inside so that the body would remain. But if the body goes, he goes too. Mainly because Shadow wants a physical body. That's like the big key. But eventually they learn to trust each other because, as it turns out, Shadow never really wanted to be evil. He was literally created that way, and there we go. So, eventually, Light actually gives him half of his soul, which allows him to use his own body. Doing this, the two sort of form a symbiotic relationship where they keep each other alive in order to continue fighting people by providing each other's energy. And if one ever gets too injured and they have to recover for a bit, the other will take over. Mainly with Light being the main body, or the main person using the body. But I don't know. I just thought this was actually kind of interesting. I'm gonna be going for a little bit longer, and yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was a nice little thing, and I really did want to make something out of it, but I'm not good at art. Only story. The Reaper part of the name is even better, because that's actually another story I had. The Reaper is pretty much just an average. The Reaper section of that name is actually just pretty much an average story, like, the whole good versus evil thing. That came from another idea I had, which was pretty much an idea of a show behind the wars of heaven and hell. Yeah, getting philosophical here. But basically the idea of it would be that the Grim Reaper was told that he had to he was told that not only did he have to do his job after a little bit of ferrying souls that have died, but he was given charge of purgatory as well, and given the ability to build his own army out of whoever he picked from the dead souls. The reason for this is so that God could have sort of a Black Ops of heaven, if you will, like an elite squadron of people who could. I'm not good at this level. An elite squadron of people who could fight the devil and his forces. Meanwhile, the devil's trying to sow chaos pretty much by taking people who have sold their souls to him and making them sort of a like bringing them back to Earth, where they could cause enough evil and chaos and pretty much anything else out there to bring forth a monster of his, which could then make more evil and chaos and whatever, as a way of making it so that he can get up there, so he can completely destroy everything that God ever loved and created. I kind of liked it for a bit. Obviously, it would change over time, like characters would evolve and stuff, much like Light's thing, which I really don't have a name for yet. At the moment, it's just called Light Story. I don't like that name. Anyway, I didn't even notice what was happening. I was looking away. So anyway, that was basically the idea behind my name. And screen went black again. And I don't really have anything else to say. So when next time I get busted, then this is gonna be done. In the meantime, well, now you know why my name is Light the Shadow Reaper. And so, if you're watching this on YouTube and as the channel trailer, I implore you to like and subscribe. Every little bit helps. Also, leave a comment to tell me exactly how I can improve myself, because I'm new at this. But for now, this is Light the Shadow Reaper, signing off, and I'll see you all next time.